It has been a while since our last podcast, but we have been so busy and I have amazing updates to share. So I'm really excited about today and updating everyone on what has been going on with us. I'm the Real Housewife of Alaska, and you are following along my story as I reclaim my health and happiness living off the lands here in Alaska. So, first things first, let's talk about where we are with our grants. So, if you've been following us along, you know that we have applied to many different grants, really shifting the mind frame from having a homestead to running a farm. That mindset shift allows us to tap into a lot of grant funding. And so, one of the grants that we applied for, and I talk a lot about this in other videos, is something called an EQIP grant. And this is worth up to $50,000. And you can use it for greenhouses, irrigation, soil testing, high tunnels, low tunnels, and a myriad of things in between. And so we recently had our site visit. So we had applied for our farm record number back in maybe like March and scheduled our site visit at one of our properties. So we've got 2 acres where my husband and I built our own house and we live sustainably off the land. We're semi off grid. We are on the power system, but we're well, septic, satellite. And we grow, gosh, probably 80% of the produce that we consume all year round. And so, in addition to that, we have our 100% off-grid 10-acre farm that we are building. And so, the first site visit we had was on our 2-acre property. And flying colors, we should be getting several high tunnels, several low tunnels. This is going to be such a game changer for us because here in Alaska, we really can't even start planting in the ground until about end of May. So, and then we've got to harvest by like the end of August. And so an incredibly short season. And so having these high tunnels and low tunnels is going to really extend our season. It's going to allow me to grow more of the unseasonable items like sweet potatoes and maybe some other like tropical fruits like lemons and things that just tomatoes, things that are just impossible to grow outdoors here in Alaska. So very exciting update there. Looks like I said, several high tunnels, several low tunnels, possibly an irrigation system. Haven't decided yet if we want to do that. And then at the other property, or 10 acres, we should be able to get a couple of high tunnels and low tunnels there as well. So fantastic. And I actually think our cost share, which I thought was going to be 10%, I think it's going to be even lower. Like I think it's going to be somewhere around 2 or 3% cost share. So again, if you are wanting to homestead, or if you are currently homesteading, or you have a family farm, I talk a lot about the grants that are available. We have applied for many other grants. That's just the one that we have the biggest update for right now. Again, it's called EQIP, EQIP. You definitely want to check it out because its application process is going to be in the next couple of months. And then if you don't get your application in then, you're going to have to wait for the whole next cycle. Okay, so that's update number 1. So excited about that. Update number 2. So at our 10-acre off-grid farm that we are building, we're about 10 miles off the road system. There is a road in the academic sense all the way to our property except for the last 2 miles, and then the last 2 miles are incredibly arduous. It's hard to even get there in a regular like ATV. We have to get there in our Argo, which is considered an extreme terrain vehicle. So a little extra difficult, but we were able to just the perfect timing, get out there when the ground was a little frozen, but not frozen all the way. We were able to get some heavy machinery out there, and we cleared 3 acres of our 10 acres out there. And we were able to right away get some clover down as some ground cover, put some nutrients back into the soil. We started doing our own irrigation out there to help drain that's a very wet wet property. There is muskeg in the back, not on our property, but behind our property there's muskeg. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's kind of like it used to be a lake thousands of years ago, and then moss and trees grew into it. So it's very soppy. So we've been able to get out there, irrigation, cleared 3 acres, got down the clover. Like I said, we'll do our site visit for the EQIP grant out there in a couple of months. Once the clover has been able to come up a little more, and we can show like the areas where we're going to grow. And then some of you might have seen some of the videos that I posted. I went out there and I inoculated many trees with shiitake mushrooms. Very exciting. And then also with blue oyster and king oyster. And so with the blue oyster and the king oyster, I should be, in the next couple of weeks, I could possibly be harvesting some mushrooms, and I should get a harvest for the next couple of years. With the shiitakes, it's about an 18-month process for your first fruiting, is what it's called. Mushrooms are actually this network called mycelium that runs underground or in the tree, and then that mushroom that we eat is the fruit of the mushroom. Mushrooms are just so intriguing. I have actually done a couple of videos about them. So exciting stuff. We've been able to get out there. It's so beautiful, right on the ocean. I mean, yesterday we seen like eagles flying with, fish in their talons, and moose just walking all over our property. And of course the dogs have so much fun, and my husband and I just love being out there, and are looking forward to getting the land developed more so we can start growing out there, bringing out livestock, and building our home. So our next super exciting update is through the grapevine. This TV producer had heard about what we were doing out on our property, and they had reached out to us and asked if we would be interested in being on a TV show where they would actually document our process of building our home and our farm off-grid in Alaska. And so that's still in the works. Not 100% sure yet if that will be green lighted. But obviously very excited to be in this space where possibly we could have a TV show documenting us building out in Alaska, and really making this homesteading dream come true. So more to come on that. I will of course keep you all updated on the process. I honestly think we should know in the next couple of weeks whether we're going to be doing this. So again, we'll keep you all updated. So those are that, in addition to finally being able to get into the garden and actually planting our food. Like I said, I grow about 80% of the produce that we eat. We'll eat a lot of it fresh as it grows. I'll store a lot of it in the winter, like the potatoes, the turnips, the cabbages, the cauliflowers. Those store really well. I'll dehydrate some food. I'll freeze some food, and then I will can some food, some produce and whatnot. And we really just live off of that. It's so difficult to get food that isn't laced with poison from the grocery store. And, here in Alaska, it's even harder because everything has to be imported in. And it's just insanely expensive. I honestly have no idea how people are affording groceries. It's just absolutely insane. So we rely heavily on that. The bees are here. The beehive looks to be doing really, really good, really healthy. It's been a cold winter, but the bees are good. The garden's planted. We should be getting sweet potato slips to plant into the small greenhouse that we have. So super, super busy. Lots of awesome updates. So it's a very exciting time for us. one of the things I wanted to talk about, and I've been just kind of really culminating on this, and it's been on my mind about, why I decided to call myself the Real Housewife of Alaska. And it really was, a play on words, because I wanted to represent what I think is the antithesis of what we see on those Real Housewife shows, and just show people what I hope they think is important. Because we watch these shows, and I've watched them, these housewife shows, and we watch these women butcher their faces and bodies to, try and slow down the process of aging, which is so wild to me, because aging is an absolute privilege that not enough of us are going to get to experience. And then we celebrate that, and we celebrate the clothing and the insane purses and the catty fights and the cars and the homes. And none of these characters are portraying skill sets or contributions to society, to their family, to themselves. We sit our kids down at school from what they start going to school at 5, and we say, sit here, be quiet, listen to us indoctrinate you with ideas. Don't ask any questions. Don't be a child and have energy. You just sit here and you be quiet and you believe everything that we tell you. And then what happens is those children become adults that sit for hours and absorb what they're being told from TV or social media. And there is no deductive reasoning. There is no pushback on the narrative. It is just absorb and believe everything you're being told. And especially women, and certainly men, are being told what matters are cars and clothes and houses and plastic surgery and facelifts and Botox, and gone are those family values. Gone is the skill sets that our grandmothers should pass down to our mothers, and then pass down to us, and then us pass down to our children, to learn how to grow food, to learn how to preserve food, to learn how to tend a home, how to have a loving, caring, supportive marriage, how to be healthy and vibrant and alive and be okay with wrinkles and not caring about these artificial things that I truly believe rob us of our peace. In addition to that, the American food system is just, it's unbelievable. It really is. And honestly, my husband had asked me the other day, he had said, because I've done a ton of research on like chronic illnesses, so I have one. And recently I have tested positive for the Alzheimer's gene, which severely increases my chances of getting Alzheimer's. We have family members who have had cancer, and so I've done tons and tons of research on cancer and aging and Alzheimer's and chronic illnesses and autoimmune. And the wild thing about it is the prevention and the cure for these ailments are all food. staying away from processed food, staying away from sugar, eating whole natural foods, eating animal products, eating animal fats and good plant fats, and getting sunlight and not putting on sunblock and meditating and lifting weights and being active. These are the preventions and the cures. And then Big Pharma comes in, buys up the farms, buys up our food, covers them in poison, makes sure we stay sick, and then gives us these medicines that never cure. No cure for autoimmune, no cure for Alzheimer's, no cure for cancer. There is, but not from Big Pharma, because you don't make money off of people that heal, make money off of people that aren't sick. And so we plop our kids down and we say, listen to what people are telling you and don't question anything and absorb it all and believe it as truth. And don't be a child and don't squirm in your seat, because then we're going to say you have ADD and we're going to pump you full of drugs. And then when you become an adult, we're going to sit you in front of the TV and we're going to give you shows like The Real Housewives of Atlanta. And you're going to believe that this is what a marriage should look like. This is what your priorities should look like. This is what life is about. And so, as the Real Housewife of Alaska, I wanted to be that antithesis. I wanted to be on the other side of that spectrum to say, here is a different way of living. Here is the freedom and the happiness and the health that comes along from believing that the flex is a healthy, happy marriage. That the flex is a nutritious, home-cooked meal. That the flex is not caring about what you look like or your clothes or the car that you drive, but caring that you have time to walk barefoot in the grass, to play outdoors, to sit and reflect upon your day, to spend time with your family, to building a 10-acre off-grid, fully remote farm where you want many generations of your family to come and live and experience a different lifestyle than what we are being sold. So that is the reason behind The Real Housewife of Alaska, and what I hope I get to bring to you and the value that you may find in my content.